the critical matters that inform this contract and to evaluate some of the assumptions and some of the data that was used in arriving at the conclusion that the state will be better off with this contract, because the contract in its current form is a complete rip-off and doesn't provide any information that is worthy of doing an evaluation of this project.
What are the specific issues you have that make you call this contract a rip-off?
Yeah, the first one is the fact that you cannot just look at how much somebody was paid in the previous contract, because don't forget that in the previous contract, the service provider wasn't paid a flat amount of money. The service provider had a performance-based contract. So any additional revenue that the service provider brought in, the service provider was paid a percentage of that amount. And therefore, that was a way encouraging the service provider to fish out and work harder enough in order to generate more revenue so that it can also make more money. And so it wasn't a fixed amount that is paid every month. So if you just pick one of the amount that was paid, or you decide to average it and say that because you are now charging, you are now paying 1.4, you are being more efficient and therefore you are saving money. Nobody does that kind of analysis, because technically what you need to be looking at is this 1.4 or 1.5 million that you are paying. What exactly is the value that you are paying for? Under the current arrangement, whether Kelvin GVG performs or doesn't perform, they go home with 1.5 million. Nobody will sign a contract like that, because at the end of the day, the person should be demonstrating a value, an additional value that he gives to the state, and therefore share in that additional value. Because we are already earning income from the traffic. And so he's not the one now coming to create the traffic, but it is the additional traffic that is resulting from the efficiency of his own activities that he must be paid for. As it is, we have no clue. Now, this is a contract that was signed that imposed a burden on the state to make payment 1 month after the signature. What were the conditions precedent? So yesterday, the minister tells us that 5 months down the line, Glo and Vodafone are now being connected as we speak. So what were we paying them for over the last 5 months? When Glo wasn't connected, when Vodafone wasn't connected. Even if we are now going to even pay them for connecting Glo and collecting Vodafone, what is the total traffic that these two entities generate? Less than 20% of the total traffic. And so the bigger traffic of about 80% is still not being looked at. In fact, they are still not even working on 80% of the traffic, and yet we're paying them. So that tells you that going forward, whether they perform or they don't perform, it doesn't matter. But if it was a performance-based contract, what it means is that they wouldn't have been paid anything over the last 5 months. And now they would have been paid not just by connecting Glo or by connecting, which does just about 1% of the traffic, or connecting Vodafone, which does about 14 to 15% of the traffic, but they would have had to demonstrate that by connecting, they are generating additional traffic that is resulting from their efficiency and be paid for the additional traffic. As it is now, they are still getting paid. So if it takes them another 1 year to connect MTN, they still get paid. If it takes them another 1 year to now connect Airtel Tigo, they still get paid. And so whoever is doing this comparison is not informed by a proper analysis of value for money. And we want to see what is the value for money analysis that was done, what were the assumptions that underline the figure of 1.5 million. We want to be able to establish that this is a build, operate, and transfer transaction. And so we want to see over the period of 5 years, or if it's extended to another 10 years, what will be the level of profit that this business is going to generate before it hands it over to us. Because the rate of return built into this transaction is very key in saving the Ghanaian taxpayer. So the Ghanaian taxpayer wants to know, if you are giving your airwaves to somebody, you are giving somebody an opportunity to make money based on a traffic that is flowing, and you are paying a person 1.5 million a month for 5 years, and the person is going to incur a certain level of cost over a period of 5 years. What will be the level of profitability? Is it going to be 100% profit? Is it going to be 100% or 200% rate of return? Then we can compare that to rate of return that is reasonable in the market in order to agree whether we can adjust the fees or not. As we sit, we don't have any project appraisal to be able to determine at what point this project would have fully recovered its cost, and how many years running would the project now be delivering profit to the owners, and for what reason we can determine the timelines for this project and even the cost that we should be paying for it. We do not know any of that. And nobody does a build, operate, and transfer transaction by just fixing a figure and comparing that to another figure that was being paid in the past and saying that we are saving the state some amount of money and therefore that is it. Nobody does that. And I'm sure you know that anybody who has done some bit of finance and engaging in a build, operate, and transfer transaction will do value analysis, will do net present value analysis, and will do rate of return analysis in order to be sure that you are not being shortchanged by the time you take over the project. So the mere fact that it will be given to you back for free, it's not free. So if at the end they recover their cost fivefold and they hand it over to you, that is about 500% return. And you now take it for free. You basically take assets that have been technically depreciated and have to replace in a few months' time.
Right.
And you think that you have taken a free infrastructure. That is not how we do it.
So, Mr. Dongo, your concerns mainly have to do with the value of the 1.5 million that we'll be paying them per month and a general value for money appraisal of this $89 million contract.
My concern is also that we don't even know the additional revenues that they are going to generate. What are the baseline revenues that we are currently generating? We need to know that. We need to know this baseline revenue will grow whether GVG is there or SUBA is there, because we know that mobile traffic would increase. As economic activities improve, as people earn more money and people begin to use mobile facilities to encourage the use of transactions, you would see that there will be a normal and natural growth in traffic that will not be influenced by GVG. Again, if in the course of the period there are increases in tariffs by the operators, it will still lead to an increase in the values that we are generating, whether GVG is there or not. A proper analysis is to isolate all these normal growth, and we do have how the growth pattern has been over the years. Eliminate all those normal growths and now be able to determine additional growth attributable to this solution, and therefore pay appropriate rates for that additional growth. You cannot just wake up and do this type of wishy-washy transaction and you say that I'm comparing what was being paid and so I'm saving money. Nobody does that.
Right. Now, Mr. Adongo, you made some allusions to the previous contracts that SUBA and Afriway were carrying out that were evaluated by stakeholders in the sector in 2017. You mentioned how you feel we were paying according to the revenue we were gaining because it was a performance-based contract. But it was the position of stakeholders, well, it is the position of stakeholders in the sector as of February and March 2017, that these persons were paid for literally little or no work done.
You see, the assumption that once I begin to work on a system, don't forget that if I begin to work on a system and you know that I am watching what you are doing, generally what it means is that you are minded about the accuracy of your reports. Because if you don't report accurately and you are found out, it will be clear that you are cheating the system. So at the end of the day, if because of my monitoring, I get data from the operators, and you think that I should have gotten a different data, you are right to say so. But don't say that because the data that I generated from the operator is the same data that is now being used to do the evaluation. Whatever improvement is occurring is not occurring because of me. Then you are simply saying that with or without monitoring, you will still get that data. And it cannot be true. When you are monitoring, it creates a certain level of compliance. And that level of compliance is what you were enjoying with the new regime. And you needed to appreciate the fact that the compliance levels have improved and the limitations have been improved. And that is the reason why the data you are seeing is generating revenue. You don't expect to see different revenue. Now, let me ask you a very simple question. If you are saying that you need real-time data, what is the use of real-time data if that same real-time data is the data you are generating at the end of the day when it is not real-time? What is the difference? Are we interested in real-time data for the sake of the name real-time data, or we are looking at real-time data that generates additional value? The focus should be the additional value. So if I collect the data at the end of the period, okay, and it gives me a figure 20, it doesn't matter whether by looking at real-time data you still get 20.
Mr. Adongo.
What is the value? The only difference will be that by taking real-time data, you are telling me that because of real-time data, it will move from 20 to 30. And therefore, the 10 that has been added, I must compensate the person who is generating that additional 10.
Well, in the first place,
talking about real-time data, as if real-time data is value on its own. It is not value on its own.
In the first place, the Communications Minister, Esther Osei-Kuffour, has said that a 20% increment in revenue is expected, as has been experienced in other countries as a result of the installation of this. But interesting points there about the fact that call detail records may match because persons are being monitored. That's a point you made.
And the point I make is that...
Mr. Adongo, for me to be able to land, because I haven't finished asking my question, the question I was asking was that, you see, the same arguments can be made that if I am monitoring at a point before the billing mechanism kicks in and it matches with the call detail records of the telco, it could be because the telcos know they are being monitored and so our data matches as a result. The
same level of penetration that we have. And you go and plug a KVGVG equipment there and the industry grows over a 20-year period. You attribute that to the fact that right from the start you had an equipment of KVGVG in that system? No. Because look at our own system here. Because they are now rolling out a lot of network sites. They are beginning to roll out into places that they didn't have access. They are beginning to improve their network efficiency, and they are beginning to look at much more aggressive promotion of how to use mobile penetration. And as a result of that, those numbers would grow normally. So to just say that there was some growth in some other country, what is the situation in Ghana? We are in Ghana. We are not in Uganda. We are not in Tanzania. We are in Ghana. What are the underlying assumptions that will lead to that growth? Let us critique and evaluate those assumptions and let an independent body do a value for money analysis and come to the same conclusion of your assumptions. Then at the end of the day, we are saying that even though it probably was 20% in some other country, for our country, it may even be 30%.
Okay.
That is how you deliver value for money. You just don't sit up and the person comes to tell you that, when I went to this country, I was able to generate 20% more. Have you gone to do any due diligence in that country to establish that he was able to generate that? Meanwhile, there is a lot of information in the system that suggests that GVG has been driven out of several countries. Several countries. You are not aware of that. And you tell me that Kevin GVG has been around for 20 years. 20 years with what track record? That is what we need to know. You just don't tell me that it has been there for 20 years. So I'm saying that you cannot make a conclusive argument that because certain things happen in certain countries, do you know the legal regime, the legal framework that is enabling the growth of the telecom sector in those countries? Do you have them here? Do you know the kind of fiscal environment that exists in those countries that is making those economies grow? And as a result of that, it is impacting on the general growth of the service sector, with ICT being the main driver of that growth, and for that matter, telecom benefiting from that growth. And for which reason you need to be comparing that and discounting the challenges you have in your country that don't exist in those countries. To just pick a blanket growth in another country and plant it in your country is only a wishful thinking. It is never done in proper, serious analysis of finance to arrive at value for people.
Let me put those questions that you have raised to Mr. George Anda, Deputy Minister of Communications, who has joined us on the line. Yes, Mr. Anda, thanks for joining us.
It's my
Good morning, Daniel. Good morning to your listeners.
Awesome.
How are you doing? And
I'm doing well.
To my colleague, Honorable Adongo in the studio.
Awesome. I am. Well, Mr. Adongo is also on phone. He's not in the studio. Yes, but I'm doing well. I'm blessed and highly favored. Thanks for asking. So 3 or 4 main issues raised by Mr. Isaac Adongo in his submission. The first of all being the fact that, well, what's the real value of the $1.5 million that we are paying, comparing it to the fact that in the past, according to him, the Suba and Afriway were paid based on the revenue that they accrued to government, and so it was a performance-based arrangement that we had. Also talking about what real value for money analysis has been carried out, and what additional, he's also talking about additional revenues that may accrue to the sector because of increases in taxes. This was said, of course, about Tanzania, for instance, where a Vodafone CEO was saying there was an increase in tax, and that's how they saw higher revenues. And then the fact that if you look at the different conditions that exist in different countries, you cannot just say, put a blanket figure of 20% in expected increase in revenue as has been seen in other countries. Your response, Mr. Anda?
Daniel, I think that my colleague, Honorable Adongo, should first understand the law, the Electronic Communications Act. the provisions in the law as far as the establishment of the common monitoring platform. Okay, what we are doing is implementing a law that was sponsored and passed when the previous administration was in power. The law is clear. Okay, it says that the Minister of Communications and the Minister of Finance have the responsibility to establish a common monitoring mechanism that would monitor the activities of the telcos. Now, the policy itself, okay, the common monitoring platform policy, was a policy that was inherited. Okay, so it's the previous administration that also put in place this policy. We have reviewed the policy, we have reviewed the law, and we believe that it is still very relevant, and it's something that we have made a decision to implement. Now, in that law, okay, it establishes it clearly shows what the minister is supposed to do. This is what we have done. You had a situation where in the previous regime, they were having traffic monitoring and revenue assurance through two vendors, AfriWave and then Suba, for $2.6 million a month. Okay, you have a situation where we have now done a wider and deeper scope. Beyond revenue assurance and traffic monitoring, we have included fraud management, and then we have included mobile money monitoring. So from the two, as far as the scope is concerned, we have moved to 4. The previous regime was using the call data records that were supplied by the telcos for the analysis, because the telcos refused to allow AfriWave and Suba to connect all time. Now, this is a fact. If Honorable Adongo is trying to challenge that, he should say that I'm telling the truth. Okay, the telcos didn't allow for the real-time monitoring to happen, and they were providing mediated CDRs. Now, mediated CDRs are nothing but Excel sheets, okay, that come after the billing process. And we have said that we will not tolerate that kind of situation. We would implement the law. So, apart from the fact that we have deeper and wider scope, we also are looking at doing this.
Hello, Mr. Anda.
CDRs at a later stage. Now, when you come to value for money, I mean, even if you discount the argument about a possible increase in revenue, and you look at the savings, okay, that we are going to deliver to the government of Ghana for a deeper and wider scope, this is 55% less. Over a 5-year period, this is a savings of $67 million. That's about 300 million Ghana cedis. Okay, so how can you overlook some of these things and then be saying that what we're doing doesn't quite wash? I think there's a lot of hypocrisy. If the issue is not a serious misunderstanding, okay, of the policy, okay, then it is hypocrisy, because you
right,
cannot
Mr. Anda.
Can I land, please? You cannot in one breath be accepting a situation where you are paying $2.6 million a month for two services, and then the next breath you come and say that, okay, paying $1.4 million a month for 4 services in real time when the equipment becomes owned by the government and people of Ghana at the end of the period is a worse deal. It doesn't quite wash. Okay, and he's a member of parliament. If you want to challenge the law, you know what to do to challenge the law. But until such time that you challenge the law is not statute book, and we would implement the law to the letter. Okay, now on the issue of privacy and security, because I've just
that is in a telco statement, Mr. Anda. That is in a telco statement. As we normally do, let's fully exhaust one leg of the conversation before we move to that one.
Yes.
Thank you. There's another question that Mr. Adongo raised, which was about the additional revenues that may be accrued by other means in the telco sector, which others may count as being as a result of this monitoring platform and may not necessarily be.
Daniel, okay, listen, on that we start doing the monitoring, we don't have the right insight to be able to make specific statements on this. And that is why the minister in her wisdom used words like she hopes that we'll be able to generate an additional 20% as per what is happening in other jurisdictions. But if you're asking for specifics in Ghana, let us start monitoring, and then we'll see the trend of the data, and then we'll be able to make an informed decision, or we'll be able to make an informed commentary. But that's why I said in my earlier point that assuming that there's no increase, discounts the argument about the revenue increase, and look at the argument of the savings. Look at the argument of the value that we are getting in terms of the quality of intelligence for revenue assurance, for traffic monitoring, for fraud management, and for mobile money monitoring. Okay, look at the value of the insights that we are going to. Okay, look at the fact that the equipment becomes owned by the government of Ghana. You are paying $2.6 million a month. You don't own the equipment, throughout your lifetime. You are paying $1.4 million a month, and now at the end of the period of the contract, you own the updated version of the equipment. Which part of this is so understand and comprehend? I don't get it. I'm sure that even a 5-year-old boy, a 5-year-old toddler, if you explain this thing to the person would get it.
Ms. Anda, finally, if we do this monitoring over about a year and we realize that, I'm asking that if this monitoring is done for about a year, like you say, it would be necessary for us to do the monitoring and then look at the extra revenue accrued. If we do it for about a year and we realize that there's really no change in the revenue that we are getting from the telcos, would you say it's been a prudent investment?
But Daniel, this is the third time that I'm saying this thing. Discount a bit about the revenue. Look at the quality of the information that we are going to get. Okay, and look at how much we are. Even if we discount the revenue, you are paying 2.6 of taxpayers' money. As my brother Sam George would say, the Kaya year's money. You're paying 2.6, and now we're paying 1.4. Why should we?
Right.
You want to stop it and go back to the 2.6?
But you are comparing it to what, Mr. Anda, you are comparing it to what used to be paid. But we are just looking at the 1.4 million of the Kayayo's money. That's
and you're comparing the 1.4 to what?
No, I'm not comparing it. I am asking a question, Mr. Anda, and I'm not comparing it to anything. What I'm saying is that, Mr. Anda, if I may finish, Mr. Anda, what I'm saying is that if after a year we have not gained any extra revenue from this system in particular, would you call it a prudent investment? It's a simple question.
Of the training, from the cost of the operations and maintenance. Until that time that you can make that argument for us to say that, yes, we got it wrong, then I don't understand on what basis you'll be challenging the 1.4 when we have come from the 2.6. You have been sitting in Ghana when you were paying 2.6. You didn't say jack.
Right. Ms. Anda, so my question still holds that when we are evaluating this system, if we do find that we did not get excess revenue, would it be a prudent investment?
Well, excess revenue is not the sole criteria to determine the performance arrangement. Okay, but if we do the evaluation and we determine that per the key performance indicators that we put in place is not delivering on what it is, in the unlikely event that it's not, of course, we'll sit and rethink again.
Okay. Those are the issues that Mr. Adongo raised. And so I want to go on the other line and have a final word from him and thank him. Mr. Adongo, are you there?
Yeah, I'm on.
Good. Yes. We would like to end this leg of the conversation with you. Is there any response that you would want to give to Mr. Anda?
Yes, I'm very surprised that Anda's answers are not forward-looking. He says that we should wait to see whether the project delivers value for money over a period of time.
I never said that. Daniel, please.
Mr. Anda, I'll come back to you. Mr. Anda, I'll come back to you. Mr. Anda, I'll come back to you. No, George.
You heard me. If it's misreporting me, just correct him, please.
I will give you the time to make those responses that you want to. Mr. Adongo, please, let's not have more than one person talking on the line. It's not fair to the listeners. Thank you very much.
Is he now the one on the line or me?
I am the one speaking now.
Okay.
All right. You can go ahead.
Okay. I'm saying that he says when you asked him whether at any point if we feel that this is, he said we should wait after the project. We're asking very basic questions at this point in time to assure us that the assumptions that were made for the revenues that they are going to get are reasonable assumptions. Two, nobody, and I mean nobody, in either on the side of the minority, anybody in civil society that I have heard, has said that we should not implement the law.
But in implementing the law, you must take decisions that are reasonable and protect the public purse. And that is the argument we are making. The argument is not to say somebody shouldn't do what you are doing, you should get revenue assurance. The point is, what are you getting for that exercise if you are paying? Ask Mr. Anda. For the past 5 months that he's been paying Kelvin GVG, for what service? For what service? Now that only he's saying that even after today, only Glow and Vodafone has been hooked on. Is there any way by which the payment of 1.4 will be scaled down because major players such as MTN and Airtel Tigo are not yet connected? And so the value is not being created from this traffic, and yet we are paying. So that already should tell you that this is a dysfunctional agreement, an agreement that doesn't have inbuilt protection of the public purse. And this is very factual. It's not like anybody is cooking. The minister herself said it. Now, the other question that we need to put in focus is the fact that the use of real-time data is only useful if it can demonstrate additional value. So real-time data is not a god on its own. It is whether you can demonstrate to me that your assessment and analysis on paper, evaluated by an independent audit review, says that the real-time traffic will lead to an increase in traffic. Then we have a basis to converse. And not to just be mentioning the fanciful word real-time. But you see, very, very critical to all this conversation.
Okay.
The fact that you are bringing in a solution. You are not willing to open up and give the information that informs your analysis. Give us the value for money audit. Give us the analysis of your revenue projections and the underlying assumptions. Let us be able to do an independent work and come back to say, you have done an excellent job. Let us be able to come back and say, look, you could improve this area. Let us come and say, look, for this area, give yourself 6 months and look for more additional information. We are helping you to develop a system that improves the Ghanaian pay. And I'm saying that mobile money monitoring. Why? Don't we have GIFs? What did GIF just introduce recently? Didn't they say interoperability?
Yes.
Doesn't interoperability tell us how much volumes of mobile money has gone through? In any case, they charge their fees based on traffic and based on the volume. So
yes.
if you still need to pay $4.5 million.
Okay, Mr. Isaac Adongo is still with us on the line. I just wanted to get a quick word on the next step for the minority, what they intend to do. But he's made a clear call for the value for money audits that informed government in making this decision, and then he made a point about mobile money monitoring and interoperability. But then, Mr. Anda, before we move into the issue of data security that has been raised by the telcos, Mr. Adongo asked a specific question about what service has been rendered so far to warrant the payments that have been made in the past 5 months since the contract was
Daniel,
implemented.
I think Mr. Adongo, Honorable Adongo, did not either listen to the minister or has not read the minister's statement. Okay, because in the minister's statement, she clearly stated the work that has been done so far as the roadmap that was drawn for the arrangement for the common monitoring platform. The common monitoring platform was supposed to set up a full solution and start delivering on all the 4 services by July. That is 6 months after implementation. The contract says that 30 days after the signing of the contract, the government of Ghana, through the NCA and the GRA, will be paying this 1.4, of which 60% of that 1.4 will be coming from the GRA and 40% of that 1.4 is coming from the NCA. In January, GRA paid their 60%. In February, GRA paid their 60%. NCA made no payment in January and February. In March and April, NCA paid their 40%. GRA didn't pay anything. So effectively, of the 4 months, we can say that only 2 months has been paid from the government of Ghana side.
Right.
Even though we're supposed to pay for 4 months. So it is an untruth to be saying that $7.5 million has been paid so far. Now, as far as the deliverables of the common monitoring platform is concerned, or the deliverables of Kelmy GVG is concerned, Kelly GVG is looking at the build, operate, manage, and transfer. And when we talk about build, operate, manage, and transfer, it means that there will be a phase that the build will take place.
Hello, Mr. Anda.
Will take place. This
Right.
is not a solution that is just a plug and play. Okay, it is servers that are being brought in. It is software and hardware. Okay, it is licenses that are being paid for. It is connections being established. It is training that is being done, etc., etc., etc. Okay, and we're saying that as far as the deliverables of Kelly are concerned, even if we look at it up to the end June position, they have delivered over 80%. Okay, what is left is with the fiscal plugin. Now, with the fiscal plugins, the deadline is the 11th of June. Okay, before the end of June deadline takes place, and so nothing. We are not in a critical path. Kelly is over delivering on their performance. They are over delivering. They've started. They are even doing the fraud management. Okay, where they are pushing calls through the routes to identify the illegal routes and that the traffic is coming to. So there's work that is going on.
Just a quick one on the fraud management. Have we apprehended anyone? Mr. Anda, we have just a few minutes to wrap up, so we'd have to move it on. We'd have to move it on here. And you still have to respond to some of the issues that the telcos have raised. But on the fraud management, have we apprehended anyone so far? Have we caught anything?
Well, I think there's data that has been received. There's information that is being analyzed. I'm not sure if there has been any physical arrest yet, but there's a lot of investigation that is taking place.
Okay. Now, can you confirm to us categorically which of the telcos have connected to the GVG switch?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, per the latest update that was given to me, Glow is connected. Vodafone are going ahead with the installation. And I think that after a number of areas are clarified, they would go ahead with the connection. I am not aware of any telco that has specifically said that would not connect. Indeed, all the telcos, when they engage us, they tell us that they are not against the implementation of the common monitoring platform. Okay, they have certain concerns, which, if I go on, will lead us to the next discussion.
Exactly.
So maybe I should wait.
But I just have a quick one on Vodafone. So Vodafone has not connected.
Vodafone have not physically connected.
Okay.
But Vodafone's installation is ongoing.
Right. Let's move into the.
You see, the process is that you need to install your equipment at the telco's site. Okay. You need to insert the probes. You need to test for the signal. You need to start carrying test traffic before you actually go and switch on to connect. So it's not just a plug and play thing.
Okay.
But the fact that Vodafone has. Vodafone and Kelly GVG with the NC and GRE are going ahead with the installation.
Right.
Indeed, is positive news.
Yeah, let's move into the issues raised by the Telecoms Chamber in the statements this morning.
If I may, I want to explain a bit about the GIBS, because again, it looks like this Honorable Adongo is misinformed. Okay, GIBS is for interoperability. And interoperability means that as activities that are outside the operator's network. So GIBS is looking at mobile money transactions from one operator to the other operator, or from one operator to the bank, and vice versa. It's not, the interoperability doesn't cover the actual transactions that take place within the network or the interoperability. So, I mean, it's like the off-net and on-net situation, where interoperability is looking at off-net and interoperability, intraoperability is looking at on-net. Now, the off-network activity is about 20% in terms of value, okay, of the total bucket of activities that take place. So we're saying that, and again, listen, the mobile money monitoring platform is a platform that was requested by the Ministry of Finance. The Ministry of Finance know exactly what they are doing. If you look at the volume of transactions that are taking place, we want to have visibility of what is happening there. Okay, so GIBS haven't got that capacity. The same as the NCA and the GRA don't have the capacity to operate and manage the platform.
Okay.
Now, I'm not sure that is within the determination of Honorable Adongo to say that the government of Ghana doesn't need real-time monitoring. I think when they come into power and when the people of of Ghana decide to give them an opportunity to serve, they would have the mandate to do what it is. For us, since that we are in government, okay, Cabinet has approved that we go for real-time monitoring in line with the law, and that's what we are doing. We know what we are doing. Okay.
Right.
Now, so I've addressed the issue of payment for nowhere.
Let's go to the telco statement.
No, the last thing is about the value for money. Okay, I'm not sure that there has been any request for a value for money. I'm not a value for money analysis. I'm not sure that Mr. Speaker ruled that the Ministry of Communications, the Ministry of Finance should furnish Parliament with a value for money analysis. However, Mr. Honorable Adongo knows very well that if he wants this information, he can easily go to the Public Procurement Authority or the Central Tender Review Committee and get those details. I mean, you don't ask for this information on radio. Okay, do the right thing and you get the information that you want. There's nothing to hide. But on the simple back of envelope calculation, even from the savings that we are delivering, even from the fact that the equipment, the latest version of the equipment becomes owned by the government of Ghana at the expiration of the period. Okay, I think that there's a lot of hypocrisy here. You should be keeping quiet and apologizing to Ghanaians for paying $2.6 million a month for two services when we have come and we are looking at 4 services, deeper and wider scope of these services in real time for $1.4 million, okay, and the equipment becomes owned by the government of Ghana. You should be apologizing to Ghanaians and learning from us.
Yes, Mr. Anda, can we now move to the statements that the telcos released? And I'm going to read you a section of it. It says the monitoring mechanism has the capability to actively or passively record, monitor, or tap into the content of any incoming or outgoing electronic communications traffic, such as voice. Is this true? And really, is our data not in danger?
Is what?
Yes, I mean, can our data not be tapped into?
You're asking the telcos that are they not processing our data in India and in South Africa? Is that what you're suggesting? Hello?
Yes, I'm listening.
Yeah, I'm saying that are you suggesting to the telcos that they are processing our data in Nigeria or in South Africa and in India? Was that what you're suggesting?
Was that what I was suggesting? I've asked you a question, Mr. Anda, answer it.
No, I'm saying that you're saying that is our data being processed in India.
No, I did not ask that.
Okay, that means I didn't hear your question. Well, can you please?
Okay, let me ask my question again.
Yeah.
My question is that the telcos have made a point in their statement that you can actively listen in and record the phone calls that I make and you make if the system is plugged in. Is this true?
Well, I'm not too sure that the system has that capability. Okay, but the issue is that we are in a country where we have laws governing our activities. Now, the law says that the system should not do this. It should not infringe or should not intrude on the content of the conversations or the communication that's being carried. And we don't have any intention of doing that. We have presented the design of the architecture to the telcos on the 11th of May. Okay, yes, 11th of May. We also have a situation where now there's a consumer protection law. Okay, we have a situation where the NCA has 3 certified data protection practitioners. Okay, the law requires that every institution should have 1. The NCA have 3. Of those 3, 2 of them are dedicated specifically to this project. So as far as being compliant with the law is concerned, it's not for the telcos to come and say that this thing would happen when they know very well that we have taken every necessary step within the law to make sure that they are extremely comfortable and to make sure that the privacy and of the privacy of their subscribers' database is not compromised.
Right.
Indeed, as far as the signals that are being transmitted are concerned, even the numbers, the mobile phone numbers that are being transmitted, these numbers are maxed. So, and the system hasn't got access to the database of the subscribers that the telco has. So it's going to be impossible for us to determine that it is Daniel who's making this call to George at this point in time. All we are saying is that there's a number A that's making a call to a number B. Okay, now this is the duration of the call. And this, if you look at the various tariffs across that period that the call was initiated and terminated, okay, this is the amount of revenue, okay, that should accrue to government. Okay, similarly, if the data activity, then we do those analysis because it's an extremely complicated algorithm of a semi-complicated algorithm for us to be able to determine the actual tariffs and be able to compare the real-time data that we are getting to what the telcos are going to be generating. Okay, so I mean, unless the telcos are trying to tell us that they don't believe that the laws in Ghana work, okay, then I don't understand what the apprehension is. And in any case, the law is clear. It says that when the minister instructs her agent to write to you, you have 7 days to go to the High Court if you have issues. Please ask the telcos or ask the telecoms chamber if they respected the laws of Ghana, that if they felt that there were going to be any infraction, if they felt that there was going to be any issues as far as the implementation is concerned, leading specifically to privacy of citizens' data and the security of the network, why didn't they go to court?
Ms. Anda.
As the law says.
Ms. Anda.
Why didn't they go to court? Why did they renege on that responsibility? They didn't go to court, and now they are saying that they have issues. That opportunity has passed.
George.
Okay, Daniel, if I may, that opportunity has passed, and the minister has been clear. Okay, that the law says that if you have issues, you go to court within 7 days. You didn't do that. Okay, the law further says that, listen, you know something? After 30 days, if you do not connect, you will pay a penalty. And the minister said that we will implement the law. Okay, so if the telcos want to test the law of Ghana, they should go ahead and not implement. And then they'll test the law, we'll implement the law. They'll pay their 5% revenue penalty. And after 90 days, we will go ahead, and then we will consider withdrawing their license, as the law says.
Right. So the question that I was asking, that you began with, was that do they have the capability to actively or passively record, monitor, or tap into the content of a phone call?
Let me ask a question. Do you have the capability to rape a woman?
George, please answer my question.
No. I just want to
No.
Answer
the question.
The question that you're asking me, okay, I'm trying to suggest to you that the question that you're asking me is unreasonable, okay, because there's a law that says that don't do this. Okay, you don't have any basis to say that we are doing this. Okay, you don't have any basis to say that the law has been breached. I'm saying that do you have the capability of raping a woman?
Mr. Anda, let me ask again.
No. Do you have a capability of raping a woman?
No, Mr. Anda, I ask the questions on this platform.
You ask a question. You have a
Thank you, and you have not answered my question yet. It's a simple yes or no question. Does the new technology have the capability to actively monitor and record the content of phone calls? Yes or no?
Okay, we have never discussed it. We are not interested in monitoring the content of the transmission. Okay, we are doing this purely for signaling purposes, okay, for the specific scope of the project. Okay, and more importantly, there is a law in Ghana that says that the privacy of citizens must be respected. And we have a situation where the law is even stronger now. Okay, because we have gone ahead and we've made sure that the National Communications Authority have put in place 3 certified data practitioners, data protection practitioners. Okay, some of the telcos may not even have these data protection practitioners. Okay, so why are they using this excuse? Okay, there are other countries that they're operating in where they have connected to these systems. Okay, why have they connected in other countries and not connecting in Ghana? And if you heard the minister after the post-statement briefing session, she stated that when we met with the telecoms chamber last week Thursday, one of the members of the telecoms chamber, when the minister made a comment that why is it that in Rwanda, okay, you are connected to this system, okay, but in Ghana you don't want to connect to this system. The response that the minister got was that Ghana is not Rwanda. So basically, you are saying that Paul Kagame, you would not disrespect Paul Kagame and his country's law, but you want to disrespect Ghana and Nana Akufo-Addo's law. It's not going to be tolerated. We are not going to accept that situation.
Right. Let me go back to Isaac Adongo for his final word on this, and then we move on from this issue. Mr. Adongo, you have a final word to say?
Yes. I think that the posturing of the minister is unacceptable. Listen. Nobody is asking for value for money audit on radio. If you listen to the debate on the floor, almost every single member of the minority was of the view that they should be referred to the Committee on Communication so that issues such as value for money audit, and I personally raised that issue also. And so if we are not asking for it here, we ask for it on the floor. That is one. 2, Data protection. If you now say that if they feel that there's a problem, they should go to court, who has the bigger responsibility to protect the people of Ghana? It is government. And if somebody is raising an issue of a possible breach of data protection, you have to take it serious. And you have to make sure that you assure the people of Ghana that you don't have that situation on the ground. But you can't say that the other stakeholder who is complaining should go to court when you have a bigger responsibility to protect them. The other point is that you heard him say that the payments they were making over the last 5 months, because these people are supposed to start rolling out in July, is that it? So are we pre-financing the development of the infrastructure and deployment? So when you do that in a build, operate, and transfer, the dynamics completely change. So you now basically finance the equipment, give it to them for free, they run it for 25 years, 5 years, and you say that they are giving it for free. So what is that investment? We have been paying them religiously every month for them to be able to develop and deploy the equipment in a build, operate, and transfer. So technically, that is our equipment. And we are giving them our equipment to operate it for free, make their money, and then we'll collect back our equipment. The dynamics now completely changes from the answer that he has given, that we are pre-financing the deployment of the equipment. And that cannot be acceptable, that we will spend our money to help them develop the equipment. So what is their investment? The investor come in with no investment, we pre-finance them, they make their money, they go away. Now, the other issue that he raised, which I want him to pay clear attention, is the fact that every GVG and whatever equipment they have fixed in other countries, you do not have the specification of those equipment. You define the equipment and the specification that you want. And if in your description and specification, you included in it the capacity to monitor and listen to our calls, but in Paul Kagami's country, his specification did not include that facility, why wouldn't they allow them to lock in Uganda, in that country? And tell you that in your case, your specification infringes on your law. So instead of always saying another country, let them be sober and look at what is the spec of equipment that GVG is using in those countries.
Thank you very much, Isaac Adongo. He's a member of Parliament for Bolga Central and a member of the Finance Committee of Parliament. Thank you also, George Anda. George Anda is the Deputy Minister for Communications. You're still listening to the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. In today's fast-paced world, fast food, smartphones, fast applications, how do we really maintain a relationship? Very shortly, we'll have that conversation on our Relationship Fridays. We are building up to the Joy FM Bridal Fair. So today, Friday, we'll have a conversation about how to